Your name.
Oh, my name. I still remember that. I'm Dorcas Wright from
Wait.
Brookfield.
Can you walk us through green trails?
Do I what?
Can you walk us through green trails?
Can I walk you through the details?
Green trails.
Oh, green trails. Okay.
I'm gonna need you.
Green trails has been my passion for certainly probably the last 25 years, because I realized that people that live in Brookfield now have no idea of the impact that green trails made on that little village. And all started with my great aunt Jessie. Jessie was a Brookfield girl, grew up on West Street. She went to UVM, graduated from UVM, and from there went to work in the seed analyzing department. Somebody wrote to Rutgers saying that they were looking for somebody to be an assistant, and they thought of Jessie. So she, at I think about 25, she went to work at the New Jersey seed analyst place. And evidently that was a big deal at that particular time. In the meantime, she taught botany at Rutgers. So she got involved with this gentleman, and he knew how much Vermont meant to her. And he counseled her, this was in 31, I think, to buy her mother's house and to develop it into something that would be a place of rest and peace for not just her but for other people. And in 1932, she brought her first 4 students up to spend the summer. They rode horseback, they checked the local flora and fauna, they swam in the pond, they did the things that country girls did, you know, and they loved it. They went back to New Brunswick and told their friends and their families. And the next year, 1943,
No, 30.
no, 33, thank you. Green Trails was really established at that point. And she ended up with owning 3 houses, renting a couple when they were really busy, owning the fork shop, which they turned into a restaurant to feed their guests. In the 40s, after war was declared, we were very busy because people could get on the train and come into Randolph. My father'd pick them up in Randolph and bring them to Green Trails, and a lot of them would stay for the summer or stay for a month. They'd bring their kids, and their kids would work in the barn or in the dining room, and Mom would sit and read and enjoy the leisure and the company. We could take probably about 40 people if they combined right so the rooms went further. I mean, married couples you could take more married couples than we could single people, obviously. So that made it we rented what is now Ariel's, and we rented the one next to the town hall.
Did people stay in the fork shop or just eat there?
They just ate there.
Right.
One room that was a barber shop. It was walled off, and it was a local barber shop. And that she turned into a dining room for the help. So the help ate there, and the rest of the guests ate in the main part of the fork shop. That was in the 40s. I guess probably the most telling story was the story of Walter Gropius, who was a quite famous architect. I think he was settled in Boston, and Jeannie, her husband was a representative, Jeannie Mallory, told me one day about she lived next door to Walter Gropius, and he used to carry her around on his shoulders. I thought that was kind of interesting, her experience. And well, anyway, we had this call. He wanted to ride. He was bringing a lady with him, and at that point he was quite well known because there was a comedian from Harvard that wrote his own lyrics, his own songs.
Tom Lear.
Tom
Tom Lear.
Tom
right?
Lear. And they were very popular and very funny, and he had written one about Alma, the most beautiful woman in Europe, who was married 3 different times to a famous architect, a famous composer, and an artist. Well, we immediately wondered if the lady that was coming was Alma. Obviously, she was much younger, and she could not possibly have been Alma. But he wanted to ride. So my brother said, well, and he wanted to ride a horse. He didn't want to ride a nag, he wanted to ride a horse. So we had a horse that was a good all-purpose horse. He'd adapt to anybody. So my brother built a ramp that he could crawl up the ramp and get onto the saddle. And here he comes out in his walker, and he's about 90 years old at this point. He crawls up the ramp, and he hits the saddle, and immediately he's a Prussian general, and the horse is a war horse that would be fitting for him. My brother said it was the most amazing transformation he'd ever seen in his life. So Walter wanted to ride alone. He didn't want to be tied to the group, so he'd go off and poke around and meet with the group sometime. And Alma wanted to ride with the group. She enjoyed the younger men that were guiding the group and helping. So it was an interesting, and I didn't really, because I was in the kitchen. I was in the kitchen probably 15 hours a day.